Hello, this is Mr. Muller for 11-2 and 11-3 histograms. A histogram is basically a bar graph, except the bars are touching when you're graphing them. So really no difference between a histogram and a bar graph, just different names because bar graph has a space between the bars and the histogram does not. The hardest thing about today's lesson is going to be figuring out the intervals, which goes in the set. So intervals is when they're graphing it. So the bottom x value on the graph. So if we're talking about intervals here, so here's our set of numbers. They're asking for what are the intervals? So our intervals are going to be 0 to 4. They're asking for how many numbers fit in that 0 to 4. And then how many fit from 5 to 9, how many fit from 10 to 14, and then 15 to 19. A couple different ways to do this. I would just say, okay, 11 goes right there, so I'm going to put a tally mark there. 7 goes there, so I'm going to put a tally mark there. 15 goes there, I'll put a tally mark there. 0 goes there, I'll put a tally mark there. 16. The good thing about this is you're probably not going to miss a number because you're just going one by one. Bad thing is it kind of takes a long time, but all of them will kind of take a long time. And then 18 goes down here. So then I would have 3 numbers from 0 to 4, 2 numbers from 5 to 9, 4 numbers from 10 to 14, and 4 numbers from 15 to 19. So here's what the histogram would look like. Something like this. Notice all the bars are touching. So the height tells us how many. So here we're talking about 40 students. Here we're talking about 25. Just kind of all the different ways that we can do it. Alright, so this is where it could get a little trickier because now with a set of data like this, they want us to find the lowest value and the highest value. So just looking at it quickly now, I think 31 would be the lowest value. And there it is. And the highest value, 54 is the highest one I see. There's really no good way to do this. You just got to look at and check all the numbers. So 54 is the highest value. So now that I know I have a difference of about 23, I'm going to try and divide it up into about 4 or 5 groups. Okay, so remember my low was 31, my high was 54. So which set of intervals would I probably use? Well, if I want to get accurate data, probably shouldn't use this set. Well, if the highest number is 54, why would I want an interval that goes from 60 to 69? This interval doesn't really give us a lot of information because it's just between 3 different spots. So that probably is out. So I probably wouldn't blame you for going either of these last two. I would just want more accurate information, so I'd say probably this one is going to be the best. And then we would go from that page to count how many are between that 30 to 34. So we're going to count 3, and then count how many are between that 35 to 39. And here it is already done for us. So 30 to 34, there were 3, 35 to 39, there were 7, 40 to 44, there were 9, 45 to 49, there were 4, 50 to 54, there were 2. Okay, but now we need to put in the missing numbers. So we have a 30 to 34 is what we're trying to fill in here. 30 to 34 had 3. So I'm going to see which one of these graphs left us with 3, and it was that one. Puts us right even with 3 there. Okay, 50 to 54 had 2. Well, I know it needs to be smaller than 3. It's going to be this one. It goes about even with 2 then. No, that wasn't a straight line. Then they might ask some questions. So kind of going the opposite. How many students scored between 35 and 44? Well, that means I need to add these two because this person could have got a 35 or a 36 or a 37 or a 38 or 39. This person could have got a 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. It wants to know how many were between there. 9 plus 7 would have been 16. Or if a portion of the students scored between 35 and 34, so I know it's 16 out of, so there's 16 total students, 20, 25 total students. 16 out of 25, and then we can simplify that to get us our lower fraction. Sometimes they might ask us something in a pie graph, so something like this. How many students were asked what you want for lunch? Well, it tells us right here that there's 60, or we can add 40 plus 10 plus 10, or 40 plus 10 plus 5 is also 60. Of the students asked, what are their favorite school lunches? So then you can probably say that that red one is probably the favorite, which was the red one happened to be pizza. So just deciphering how to read a graph. Something like this. What do you think they spend 30% of their income on? So this is just, doesn't really have anything to do with the graph, just seeing if you know where your parents probably spend their money. And it was housing, so your house probably costs more than all that other stuff combined. What accounts for nearly 1/5 of their budget? 1/5 of their budget is about 20%. So that one would probably be childcare, because that's about 18%. What percent of their budget is other? So I know that this is the graph, so it has to equal 100%. So if I do 100% minus the 30, minus the 18, minus the 12, minus the 11, minus the 10, minus the 9, it leaves me with 10%. So I know the other was 10%.